It was a chilly afternoon when Barron Trump found himself standing still, his heart pounding in his chest as he looked down at the face of a man he hadn't seen in years, the face of someone who had once been so much a part of his life. But the years had not been kind to him. Barron had been raised in a world of privilege, yet there were certain people who had shaped his childhood in ways that couldn't be bought or planned. One of those people was Mr. James, the family driver. Barron could still remember the soft hum of the car's engine as Mr. James drove him to school every morning. The way he'd always offer a smile and a few encouraging words, despite the challenges he likely faced in his own life. Mr. James had been a constant in Barron's young world, a steady figure in the backdrop of his childhood. But here he was now sitting on a cold sidewalk with nothing but a tattered coat and a hand stretched out for help. Barron stopped in his tracks, his heart sinking as he recognized the man before him. He had always been strong, so proud. But now Mr. James looked lost, his face worn and tired. "Mr. James," Barron's voice cracked as he spoke, unsure if the old man would even remember him. The elderly man's eyes slowly lifted, and Barron saw a flicker of recognition pass over his face. He studied Barron's features, taking a moment to piece together the past. Then, with a voice that trembled from years of hardship, Mr. James whispered, "Barron, is it really you?" Barron's throat tightened, and for a long moment neither of them spoke. It was as though the years of separation, the separation of privilege and struggle, had created an invisible wall that neither could easily break down. "It's me," Barron managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. "What happened? I don't understand. You were always there. You were like family." The old man eyed deeply, his hands trembling as he adjusted himself on the cold concrete. "Son, life doesn't always go the way you plan. One thing leads to another. I lost my job, lost my home, and here I am." Barron felt a lump form in his throat. He had never imagined a world where someone like Mr. James, someone who had been so dependable, so strong, would end up on the streets. It didn't make sense. How could a man who had given so much to his family, who had been there through every important moment, be left to struggle alone? Barron crouched down beside him, looking the man in the eyes. "You don't deserve this," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You helped me when I was a kid. I remember every ride, every conversation. You were always there for me. And now you're here. I don't get it." Mr. James chuckled softly, but there was no joy in the sound. "Sometimes life takes us to unexpected places. You just keep going, hoping things will change. But sometimes they don't." For a moment, Barron didn't know what to say. His mind raced as he tried to comprehend how everything had shifted so suddenly. His life had always been one of luxury and ease, but in this moment, the harsh reality of Mr. James's life hit him like a wave. Barron's heart ached as he looked at the man who had once been a part of his daily life, now reduced to begging on the streets. It felt wrong, so deeply wrong. But Barron knew something had to change. He couldn't just stand there watching Mr. James, the man who had been a part of his family for so long, suffer in silence. He couldn't turn away. "You're not going to stay here," Barron said with newfound determination, his voice stronger now. "I'm going to help you. We can figure this out. You don't deserve to be out here." Mr. James shook his head slowly. "You don't have to do this, Barron. I've learnt to survive. You've got your life ahead of you." "No," Barron interrupted, shaking his head. You're not some stranger. You were there for me, and now it's my turn. I'm not walking away from this." Barron stood up, his hands trembling with the weight of his decision. He pulled out his phone and began making calls, reaching out to organisations, shelters, and people who could help. He didn't have all the answers, but one thing was clear. He couldn't let Mr. James slip through the cracks. He deserved so much more than this. In the days that followed, Barron didn't rest. He made sure Mr. James was not only placed in a safe, warm environment, but he also connected him with resources that could help him rebuild his life. It wasn't an easy road, and there were moments when Barron felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the situation. But he stayed committed to his promise. Mr. James's life began to change slowly. He found work at a local community centre where he was trained to help others who had fallen on hard times. He started to regain his confidence, and with Barron's support, he was able to turn things around. For Barron, the transformation was just as profound. He had always lived a life of comfort, but this experience had opened his eyes to a world he had only heard about. He learned that wealth and privilege weren't the answers to everything, that compassion, connection, and doing the right thing were what truly mattered. Barron's actions didn't just change Mr. James's life, they changed Barron's life as well. Through this experience, Barron discovered the importance of empathy and the power of making a difference, no matter how small. He realized that helping someone wasn't about solving all their problems. It was about standing by them, offering a hand when they needed it most. Barron's commitment to Mr. James reminded him of something important, that true strength isn't found in wealth or status, but in kindness and understanding. It wasn't about being the son of a powerful family. It was about being a decent human being, someone who could make the world just a little bit better. Barron's unexpected reunion with Mr. James is a powerful reminder of how life can change in an instant. It teaches us that no matter where we come from, we are all vulnerable to the hardships that life can bring. But it also shows us the importance of compassion. When we see someone struggling, it's not enough to feel sorry for them. We have a responsibility to act, to make a difference, and to lift them up when they need it most. This story reminds us that no one is immune to life's challenges, and we all have the ability to change someone's life for the better. Barron's decision to help Mr. James was a small act of kindness that rippled out, showing us that even in the darkest of times, a simple act of compassion can spark a transformation. This story of Barron Trump's unexpected reunion with Mr. James offers a profound exploration of the complexities of privilege, empathy, and personal responsibility. It highlights the power of a single act of kindness and how it can ripple through lives in ways we often overlook. Barron's journey from a life of luxury to understanding the struggles of those less fortunate serves as a reminder that our actions or inactions can make a lasting impact on others. But it also raises important questions. How many times do we walk past someone in need, assuming their struggles are beyond our control? Are we truly aware of the struggles of those around us, especially those who have been part of our lives? This story challenges us to reconsider how we measure success, not by wealth or status, but by the depth of our compassion and willingness to help. Are we prepared to take the time to listen, to understand, and to act, even when the need isn't immediately visible? The story asks us to re-examine the way we engage with the world, not as passive observers, but as active participants in making a difference. If you enjoyed the story and found it meaningful, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps us reach more people. We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts and the lessons you've learned in the comments below. Your insights could inspire someone else.